Hey guys, it's Chris and Havelock from Drop Dice. So we're doing a quick read through, review. I kind of read through it already, of Titansgrave. It just came out today, and I just kind of wanted to share my opinions on it since you guys know that I've been trying out the Fantasy Age system and had a good time with it so far. So let's kind of start with first off the map. The map is as good as it looks on the show, the one that's on the table there. When you get the book, at least through Drive Through RPG, I'm not sure about through the Green Ronin store, you do get a PDF of the map as well. There you go, buddy. I know you're getting antsy. So the map, it looks really well done, and as kind of an immature cartographer myself, I appreciate when things like that are done well. So that was actually pretty nice to see. Now for the Titansgrave book itself, it is $13.99. Like I said, if you get it through Drive Through RPG, you get a separate map file, which is one large scale map, so you could print that off and have it at home. The book itself is only 97 pages, and when you get the book itself, it does come with some maps inside of it. But one of the things that I thought was kind of nice is the entire first chapter is just dedicated to kind of history and the setting to kind of get you a good idea of who these people are and what they do, which if you've been watching the show, they've done a pretty good job of running you through kind of the highlights of this stuff already. So when you're reading it, if you've been watching, it shouldn't be too much of a surprise for a lot of this stuff. Now, chapter 2 is what I was most interested in. That's where the equipment and character stuff is located. And then from chapter 3 all the way to chapter 10, that is the adventure that has been online. Now, I will warn you, I stopped reading when I got to this point. It does go past what is online for Titansgrave Ashes of Valkana on tabletop right now. And you will discover what the infights are going to be. I want to watch the show and be surprised, so I stopped reading after I got to where they are in the show right now. That was just my personal preference. But I did, however, skim to the end because I wanted to confirm some of my suspicions about what I thought each character was and what their builds were. And what I thought was really cool was at the end of the book, the last couple pages there, they actually go through the builds of the PC characters from the show. So, like, if you wanted to play Ankia, Kiliel, Limley, or Sleth, you actually could see their builds. They are all level 2s at the beginning of this, it looks like, because that's what you have here. However, it was nice to see what they were, because I was most interested in Limley and the cybernetic upgrades, because she's got 2 cybernetic limbs and the stuff that's on her side as well. And essentially what I found out she had was a longsword, a cyber, and the cyber limb for the arm. She's also got the leg. But that was actually really cool to see. Now back to chapter 2, where the character stuff is. If hold on just a sec. I've actually got the book open with me on another screen here. So for new races, they only added 1 new race, and it makes sense when you watch a show because 2 of them are half breeds of regular fantasy races. One's a human, and then the Ankia is the Saurian. And the class itself is kind of a weird mix. It's got the strength like an orc does, but it definitely has some stuff that leans a little bit more towards intelligence, as if you were to do some sort of half-breed orc thing. And I like the feel of it. I'm not a big fan of lizard people generally. I like dragonborn, but not lizard people. I don't know why. But the Saurian race, I kind of dig the stats, and I'm not going to go into too much detail as far as like what those stats are. When you get the book, you'll see that stuff. If you decide to get the book, of course. Um, and just like the other races in Fantasy Age, it's got the standard here are your racials, and then here's your benefits table. So there's all those familiar things in there, so there's no big surprises. They did add the legendary stunt thing that they talk about in the show, where you get 3 6s or 3 1s having like a legendary fail, that sort of thing. They added that to the game, and I thought that was kind of cool in the show. I'd have to play with it before I decide to use legendary stunts myself, because it is pretty easy to get the, sorry about that, it is pretty easy to get the stunts and stuff. But I don't know what how often those 3 6s are going to come up. I know from rolling like stats for D&D and stuff like that, it's not super common, so I may include it anyways. In the show, I think we saw two times so far, if I remember right, of legendary stunts. So it probably isn't that huge of a thing. Um, and then they added some stuff like blaster weapons. So they did some class modifications, like they've got the rogues, warriors, both have weapon lists that have been changed to include blasters. And they worked out blasters a little bit differently than what I was originally thinking, because I was thinking like how Fantasy Age has it where black powder weapons are all one group. Instead, they have blaster long arms, blaster pistols, and they've broken it up into those two groups. And I was looking at a Dragon Age conversion for Mass Effect, and they had like pistols, shotguns, long arms, and it seemed like a lot. I think maybe doing it this way is a little bit better, where long arms are long arms and pistols are pistols. Because we had this discussion, and I was like, well, when you fire a shotgun or a rifle, it is basically the same. But if you fire a pistol, there's a different technique to it. So to me, this kind of makes a little bit more sense without it getting too crazy, because I know that there's different techniques for firing different caliber of weapons even. But that's not, we're not playing a simulationist game, so I don't think that's necessary. So I was glad to see it kind of broke down like that. And I think when I do my sci-fi game, I'm probably going to pull that directly from Titansgrave. That's really the big reason I picked up Titansgrave, because I want to play a sci-fi game using the Fantasy Age rules. So there is that. Let's see, what else do we have here? They also added a blaster weapon style, which actually was pretty good. And I think that this one could be converted over to the black powder weapons pretty easy, since we don't have a black powder weapon style. Essentially, for novice, once per round, you can use the ready action with a blaster as a free action. So quick draw, essentially. Journeyman gets you a +1 damage if they're in your short range. So point blank, if you're a little bit more familiar with that term. And then Master gets you the dual strike stunt for 3 points instead of 4, which I thought was a pretty good way to go. Now there is kind of some new focuses as well. There's those blaster long arms and pistols, which both go off accuracy. But they have like advanced driving, because there are like wagons and carts and things like that. But advanced driving covers like cars and ship and like um, like vehicles that are what we would consider traditional vehicles in today's world. There's also computers, piloting, and scientific lore, which we've all seen that in the show, so it wasn't a big surprise there. Um, there's batteries that power anything that has power in the world, because they don't have fossil fuels, and they make a big note of that inside here. And they've got 3 types of batteries, and they each hold a different number of charges, and most things use 1 charge per certain time frame. But one of the things that I thought was kind of weird is they don't talk about how to recharge those batteries if they are rechargeable. So my thinking is you just toss them out when you're done, which is kind of I would think in a world that's as advanced as it is, that they would have rechargeable batteries as kind of a standard, but it does kind of have a advanced world, post-apocalyptic, recovering type thing. So maybe they just didn't get around really doing rechargeable packs. And so these battery packs are just what's available. Now they are really cheap actually for your standard battery pack, which is the Flugen M, and then there's Flugent, which is a little bit more expensive, and then there's Calicirate, which is the most expensive battery pack, and it has the most charges. But at 5 silver for 10 charges for the smallest pack, that's not bad. That puts it kind of comparable with other ammunition styles. Now they added a couple sets of armor, which I was glad to see, because this does give me some stuff, like I said, for a fantasy or for a sci-fi game, which is scout armor, battle armor, and heavy battle armor, which they use Draculin, which is a certain type of material. But I thought that the scout armor, light battle armor, heavy armor could explain like ceramic armor in a sci-fi game. Oop, hey kitty, don't claw me, please. So apparently Scarlet's going to be up in this video too. So it was nice to see that stuff. One of the things that it did add that I thought was kind of cool, because I was trying to come up with power weapons myself, and I came up with stuff like power melee weapons, and then I had some different stuff like vibro weapons and stuff like that for blades. And I like how they do it. They just lump it all together and they said power weapons as base weapon plus 2 damage. I thought that was a really smart move, and I'm probably going to use that, not my chart that I came up with for kind of a preliminary kind of spinning ideas for a hack. And then they break down the blasters into, once again, the pistols and long arms. And there's 3 levels of pistols, 3 levels of long arms, which includes a shotgun style blaster. So if you have somebody who's interested in a shotgun style blaster, there's always an option for that. And then from there, they go into the new equipment that's fit for the setting. And I was talking about that, the cyber limb being one of those new equipment items that's listed inside here. And basically, it's talking about how it's a little bit more fashionable and you can attach a weapon to it. The cyber limb itself does a d6 of damage instead of the normal d3 bludgeoning damage. And I thought that was kind of cool. But on the flip side, if you take unarmed combat style, you're novice. It doesn't matter if you have a cyber limb. So that's kind of a letdown. I think I would have liked to have seen maybe it does like +2 to damage or something like that. Like whatever your roll is, +2 or maybe +1. That way it made more sense, and it lined up with like a gauntlet, which is the D3 +1. So, but it says that a weapon can be housed in the cybernetic arm if desired. Now, the thing that they don't list in here is how big the weapon is. Now, when Limley was in play, I thought her weapon was a dagger or a short sword at best because it's in a cybernetic limb and it's retractable. She has a long sword, actually, and that's what Dr. Lobotomy is. And apparently there's no restrictions on it. So if you wanted to, you could probably have something inside there. Let's see here. Yeah, it just says a weapon can be housed in cybernetic arm if desired and can be readied as a free action. And the cost is increased because of that. So if you wanted to, you could actually, technically by the rules, have a blaster rifle inside your arm, which is kind of cool. Or you could, on the flip side, technically get away with having a great sword. I think for my table, I would have to make it within reason. I think a long sword is too big for an arm, unless maybe we said it was something like that sword from the Star Trek movie that Sulu uses, the new Star Trek movie, where it kind of like folds out. Like something like that could make sense to me. But I think I'd still stop a great sword. That's a pretty big weapon to be even having that folding technology inside your arm, because you can't wield it one-handed is kind of the big deal to me. And maybe that's where you can draw the line is things that can be done one-handed. It leads me to kind of wonder if you have cybernetic limbs and its legs, if you can do the automatic rifle as your leg. I forget what that movie was, Death Note, I think it was. I'll find it later and then kill myself because I didn't remember it for the video. Well, beat myself up, I should say. But I kind of wonder if that means that you could do stuff like that, or like have like cybernetic leg and you have like a holdout blaster inside your kneecap. And if somebody gets too close and they think you're unarmed, you just blast or kneecap them. I don't know. I think I'd let players get a little creative with it. And then, like I said, after that, it's basically the adventure. So a lot of what you are getting inside this is a good solid about, let's see here, 19 pages on the setting. Another, let's see, another 5 pages on character stuff. And then the adventure is everything after that. All in all, I think the book was a good purchase for me, specifically looking to do a science fiction game. However, if you're not interested in Titansgrave or doing a sci-fi game using this as kind of a jumping point, it may not be the thing for you. I think Fantasy Age by itself is a really solid system, but I don't think that this book is necessary for you to get full enjoyment of the game. So there's a little bit of good news. This supplement is entirely optional, and it's not needed. It's a very good supplement, and I do give it endorsement and say that I like it. I'm glad I purchased it. But if you don't plan on sci-fi, you don't plan on Titansgrave, absolutely unnecessary for you to purchase it. So that's always cool. that's pretty much where I'm at. I did a review video of my first game of Fantasy Age playing the Rogue. And as we play, I'm probably going to do another one when we're about halfway through that mini campaign. And then I'm going to give a final thoughts. So far, I've had a lot of fun with it. And since we played one game and that one game has a really fun theme to it, I kind of want to feel it out because I want to make sure that it's the system that I'm really enjoying, not just the role play and the fun theme that we're playing with. I'm inclined to believe it's the actual dice rolling and the mechanics behind it that I'm enjoying a lot, because the things that I like about it I don't find a lot of in other systems, like the way the stunts work. It kind of reminds me of some of the cool stuff you can do with Fate, but with a little bit more backbone for players that don't want to go as liberal as you get with Fate. Um, Also kind of similar to Numenera, but again, a little bit more backbone than that. But all in all, good purchase for Titansgrave, but I think even better, like a just phenomenal purchase for Age so far. And like I said, I'll let you guys know how my playthrough has been going with it once it's all complete. And until next time, I'm going to kind of leave you guys with this one. I'd like to see if you guys have picked up the book, what you think about Fantasy Age, Titansgrave, the show, anything like that inside the comments section below. As always, like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys at the gaming table.